All right. The rain is starting to come down a little bit more, so I don't know if I'll be doing any more videos after this. We'll see how long I keep power. So it's shade after 11:04 on Tuesday, August 29th. Waiting for Idalia Hurricane to pass by Tampa. Still probably going to get Category 1 wins. So anyway, we're on our fourth team now. It's number 4. So we will do Mac. We'll do Waffle Rockets. That'll be fun. So very un-Mac-like draft in a way, in a sense, which is again doing the teams that I think are fun. So 11th nomination. I think everybody's top player on the board, Christian McCaffrey. I know you got pushed. I pushed you. How much would he go for? $80. You paid $80 for McCaffrey. I mean, what are we going to say? I don't know if he's the best running back in football. I think an argument can be made for Henry. An argument can be made for like a few guys, but he probably is the best right now. And after being in Carolina, trapped in Carolina with a coaching staff that has zero clue how to use him, he goes to one of the most creative play callers in football, Kyle Shanahan, and they bring in a rookie quarterback, Brock Purdy, and life is a dream. So, yeah, he's fantastic. 17 games last year, never ranked lower than 4th in touches, yards, touchdowns, or fantasy points at any point during last year. He was just stellar. I don't know if he'll get as much work with Elijah Mitchell, maybe healthier, but he's got a massive receiving role. He can do it all. They're going to try and keep him healthy. I could see, again, another 1,000 yards rushing, another 600, 700 yards receiving, another like 10, 12 touchdowns, and number 1 fantasy back material. I mean, he's just fantastic. The only thing might be just like he may not get as much work as last year with Mitchell. But I mean, you want him fresh, you want him scoring touchdowns, you want him getting the ball a lot. Like, this is what comes along with it, man. So very unlike you, Mac. Usually you're very, very cautious. I liked going big. I like you going big, especially on a player who I think is worth it. $80 is a lot. It's a lot. But it's for a player who's worth every dollar of that, without a doubt. 31 nomination, $38, Najee Harris. I said this when Robbie got him his rookie year. I said this when Brian picked him last year. I'm not a big fan of Najee Harris. Reason being, I'm a Steelers fan. I watch every snap of Steelers football. I may not see every team in a season. I may not see every snap for every team. I'll see like I have like NFL Red Zone. I have like Game Pass that still thinks I'm international through Danzin. Anyway, we don't need to talk about that. But I watch that, right? I watch a lot of teams. I watch every snap of Steelers football. I might even watch in a given week multiple replays of Steelers games just to get an idea of what they're doing. That's how deep a Steelers fan I am. So I don't like Najee Harris. He's led the league in touches since he came into the league with 694, and he hasn't missed a game, and he's been top 5 in carries, and he hasn't been great. He just hasn't been great. His rookie year, he was really good, but his yardage, he had over 1,600 yards last year. He had 1,200 yards. He had less like touches, receiving touches last year's catches. I think he only had like 54. So what are we saying exactly? Well, I mentioned in Sarah's video, I think Deontay Johnson, by pure regression, is going to score some touchdowns. I think George Pickens is borderline a superstar wide receiver that nobody knows about. That's why I picked him. But more importantly than that, I think Jaylen Warren's just better than him. Like I've seen. We're going on what? We're going on a year now? I've seen Jaylen Warren sitting behind him. I see him in preseason. I see him in the regular season. He just looks better. He just looks better. Najee looks slow. He looks uncertain. It's not patience like Le'Veon Bell. He doesn't know which hole to hit. And Warren just kind of just goes. He's just quick. Got a real good first step. Real good first step. And so, I mean, you're paying him to be your number 2 back. I don't know. I would have been better with like getting Sarah's Khalil Herbert or getting Brian's Alexander Madison, because I feel like Najee's in that class, and we're paying for him purely on volume, and his volume's going down. It's gone down to 2 years I guess his rookie year and last year. I think it's going to go down again because I think Warren's going to start. Like, the Steelers are known for bell cow backs. Le'Veon Bell, okay? Like, Tony Parker, Jerome Bettis. Like, they're known for it. Mike Tomlin loves his bell cow back. Warren looks better. I think Warren is going to make this. He's going to start taking some of Najee's work. I don't think he's going to get as many touches as last year. So we'll say maybe, I mean, I still think he'll get like 240 touches. I still think he'll get like 40 receptions. But if Warren really starts to cut into the job, it's going to be a lot less. I think the O-line's better. I think Kenny Pickett's going to be better. I think he'll get more receptions probably this year than last year. But I don't know. You paid for him at costs, and that's what his cost would be. But I don't love him. I've never loved him. I've always just felt he's kind of plodding. He reminds me of Jamal Williams. And I don't think Warren is anywhere near Aaron Jones. I don't want to say that. But, I mean, gosh, they had James Conner before Najee. Warren just reminds me of, like, kind of like Darren Sproles. And there were years I thought Sproles was just a better back than whoever they were starting. And Harris is kind of like LeGarrette Blount, and maybe he'll have that big touchdown year. But I don't know. I don't love the pick. I think you didn't overpay, so that's a good thing. But still, it just not a great taste in my mouth. So 38th nomination, $36, Amon-Ra St. Brown. This pick I love. Some of you might know who Matthew Berry is, the talented Mr. Roto, the godfather of fantasy football. His ride or die is Amon-Ra St. Brown. First off, love the name. Terrific name. Aquamenius is on the Bears. He plays for the Lions. I wish Osiris had made the league. I wish Osiris was healthy enough to have made the league. Just fantastic job, parents. Fantastic job. St. Brown's been like one of the best picks out of the 4th round in like a long time. I don't know how the Lions do this. Like, first we have Barry Sanders. Then we have Calvin Johnson. Amon-Ra St. Brown is on that track. People don't know it. He's great. Like, he's like all the goodness of Keenan Allen with like the athleticism of Deebo Samuel. That is Amon-Ra St. Brown. That is how good he is at everything. Route running, reading coverage, leveraging his body, plus the athleticism, plus just his smarts and wherewithal. He is, like, people just like, Jared Goff looks like really good, and Jared Goff has an excellent offensive line. Don't get me wrong. Excellent offensive line. Jared Goff also had Cooper Kupp for quite some time. Why has there not been any fall off? Because Amon-Ra St. Brown is in that discussion with Cooper Kupp. I would even say he's more talented than Cooper Kupp. That's how much I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I love this pick. I think for $36, steal. Total steal. Oh my gosh. What was it? Last year he got what, 1,200 yards and then 6 touchdowns, and that's despite missing a game, and he was like 7th in fantasy points per game. I mean, we're talking more. We might get more this year. Jameson Williams is like suspended 6 games. Like, he's only 23. He's still developing. My goodness, like, he's a monster in the slot. So, yeah, I'm not going for less. I'm going for more. I'm thinking like, I mean, we might have a Justin Jefferson kind of year. We might have like a 1,500 yard season and like 10 touchdowns. That's how good he is. They just got to feed him the ball. I don't really know. I don't know what his ceiling is because he just does everything well. Like everything. The reason why Justin Jefferson's so good in Minnesota, other than his talent, is because Kirk Cousins feeds him. He just constantly is throwing the ball his way. It's just like, hey, you're on this guy. I don't care who the other guy is. I'm going to just throw the ball in your direction and you're going to go get it. If the Lions actually made the decision to do that, I mean, I know they had a win streak to end last year, but they started off last year horribly. They were 2-6. And then, maybe we should just throw the ball more to Monroe St. Brown. No, duh. That's like a given. If the Lions actually made a concerted effort to make him the center of their offense, we're talking Stephon Diggs, we're talking Justin Jefferson, we're talking Cooper Kupp kind of numbers. That's how good he is. He is excellent at everything with receiving. And I don't think anyone knows that. So, yeah, as much as I like Chris Olave, I like Garrett Wilson, I like a lot of receivers. I like, again, you talk second-year breakout. His breakout already happened, and we're still going up. I mean, Jamar Chase is excellent. Genuinely excellent for the Bengals, all right? Amon-Ra St. Brown might be better. He might be better. You just got to give him the ball. So he ought to be touching the ball at least 13 times a game. At least. Every time he touches the ball is magic. So, yeah, love that pick. Would have spent $50 on him. I mean, why didn't I spend? Oh, yeah, because I spent $36 on Devontae like earlier. I would have spent $50 on Amon-Ra if I still had the cash. So, heck, if things had happened differently with Jonathan Taylor, he'd probably be on my team. So, yeah, love that. Love the pick. Love the pick. 60-second nomination, $19, Keenan Allen. Old Faithful. Okay. I think he's not the best route runner anymore. I think Stephon Diggs has taken that from him. He's still top 3 route runner in the NFL. And last year was really up and down, though. Like, he was injured for, like, quite a bit of the season, if I remember correctly. Because I know, Rich drafted him, and he was missing games. So I think he only played 10 games last year, yeah. I'm just like, why does his numbers were lower. He only had, like, 66 receptions. That's still good, but, yeah, only played 10 games. Not great. So, he was still, when he played his 10 games, he was like top 5 receiver in scoring. I drafted Justin Herbert. Kellen Moore is there. They say they've put Keenan Allen in the CeeDee Lamb role of Kellen Moore's offense. I'm hoping for good things. Again, he's a high floor wide receiver too. He's not exactly my cup of tea because I always feel like he doesn't have a ton of upside, and you're buying that eventually he's going to do the Julio Jones thing, or if we want to go Randy Moss or any of these older receivers where they just kind of get injured and they fall off a cliff, it's going to happen at some point, even with how great he is as a route runner. I would rather take a younger player, but I understand the price cost. I understand the consistency. You're hoping this isn't the year that he goes pop. So, 900 yards, 6 touchdowns, really good player. But Quentin Johnston got picked in the first round. Mike Williams got an extension. His days of being, I don't know. I think he's a high floor, like wide receiver 2. No, like high floor wide receiver 3, low floor wide receiver 2. Real consistent. But I don't know how long he can keep that. And hopefully he stays healthy this year. It's not great that he actually got injured last year and missed quite a bit of the campaign. So he's in an elite offense. He'll get his touches still. Well, I think he'll get his touches still, but we'll see. We'll see how long it is. But I don't mind it. You paid for him at cost. I think this is exactly what he's worth. So I don't mind it. 83rd selection, $4, Geno Smith. You got your quarterback. Again, I was pushing out them quarterbacks, just like, go get him. I'm either going to get him for $1 or you're going to pay me. So, Geno, it is super duper rare for a quarterback, let alone anyone, but a quarterback especially over the age of 30, to get a starting job and run with it. Geno was excellent last year. He led the NFL in completion percentage, 70%. He had, 30 touchdowns? He was in the Pro Bowl. He was genuinely really, really good. He has, there's a duo. Gosh, I was talking about this. Why did I bring up Mike Evans and Chris Godwin in the last video about duos? Great duo. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. And now he's getting a rookie first-round pick in Jackson Smith in Jigba. Like, Geno has everything going for him. Now, the underlining analytics, because I read a lot, are not great. He wasn't as efficient as you would think. There were sometimes he was not great against the blitz. The O-line's not great. They're still figuring out, is it Charbonnet, is it Walker? Pete Carroll has talked about running the ball more. But push all that to the side. Here's what you need to know. Elite weapons. Finally got his opportunity. Good O-line. Pro Bowl player. The reason why the Seahawks lost in the playoffs was not Geno Smith. They put up 35 points. Geno looked incredible. I'm so happy for him. He got paid. He's a franchise player. He went to the Pro Bowl. Everything fell into place. Will he be as good as he was last year? Last year he was a top 5 fantasy quarterback. He was excellent in fantasy. Will he be that good? I don't know. I'm not going to say yes because, again, it could be a 1 year. It could be a blip. I don't want to think it is, but it could be. It leans heavily more that way with the analytics than you would like it to be. But I still think he's like a top 8 fantasy quarterback. I think he's better than Dak Prescott. I would take him over Aaron Rodgers. I would take him over Kirk Cousins. Getting him at $4, steal. Especially considering some of the prices for these quarterbacks. And if he happens to do a repeat of what he did last year, boom, you got a top 5 fantasy quarterback. And he paid literally almost nothing for him. Good on you. So then 103, good for you. You got your handcuff to McCaffrey. You got Elijah Mitchell, Mr. Speedster out of Louisiana. I mean, obviously, it's no longer his job, but when in the games that before McCaffrey got traded there, he looked great. He'll probably steal some touches from McCaffrey in games. Like if McCaffrey gets 23 touches in a game, he'll probably get like 10. And you know what? That's okay because that means they're both healthy. So I think he's great insurance, great handcuff. $6, do it all day, every day. Perfect. Top. You got to protect your asset. Kadarius Toney, 161. So 161 nomination, $1. I like Kadarius Toney. I mean, he's got a Super Bowl ring now. I thought he was overdrafted in the first round by the Giants, but the Giants did a lot of stupid things back then. Honestly, if he could just stay freaking healthy, he's the most talented receiver on the Chiefs. It's not close. They used a second-round pick last year on Sky Moore. They used a second-round pick this year on Rashee Rice. They signed Justin Ross, who, 5 years ago was the best receiver in college football. They have Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who's on my team. Tony's better than them. He's better than them. He's got more incredible wiggle, very, very quick, very, very shifty. Can't stay healthy. I was constantly trying to get him on my team last year, and he was constantly not being healthy. I think he's already had 2 off-season surgeries, and he's hurt again. So, I like him a lot from a talent perspective, but you got to show me at this point. I don't know how long a leash you're going to give him. I wouldn't give him all that long. Maybe, I mean, I guess maybe half a season. But, like, dude, like, just get healthy. Get healthy and average 8 catches a game and then come talk to me. Then you're like a bona fide starting receiver for sure. A wide receiver 3. But, you got to do that. He hasn't done that. So I'm still waiting. We're going into year 3. Still hasn't been healthy a whole year. So I mean, I don't mind it for $1. You can cut him whenever. $2, $1.91. Isaiah Hodges. So this was interesting. The Giants had like no receivers last year. Now everyone says they have receivers this year. I beg to differ. I don't believe that. The Giants receiving core is genuinely below average. Anyway, they were looking for receivers. I think halfway through the season they couldn't find anybody, and he was good. He was like the 33rd receiver on the back end of last season in fantasy. So they brought in a bunch of people like Darren Waller. They drafted Jalen Hyatt. They brought in Paris Campbell. Wan'Dale Robinson's getting healthy. What happens to Isaiah Hodges? Hell, I mean, Sterling Shepard allegedly is healthy. I don't believe that, but allegedly. But they brought him in. So where does Isaiah Hodges go? Well, first, as much as I like Brian Dable, and I like Brian Dable a lot, Daniel Jones had 15 passing touchdowns last year. They gave $140 million to a guy with 15 passing touchdowns. That's nuts. So let's say he goes for 20. Hell, we'll push it to 25. Are a lot of those going to Isaiah Hodges? I don't know. I don't know what the depth chart looks like because it's all weird. I would say the top passing option is probably Darren Waller. I guess Hodges is like a flyer to take a shot in the dark. I'd rather take a younger player. But, I kind of get it. First Mike Kafka, the former Northwestern quarterback who's the offensive coordinator, he'll probably be why do I say starting? He'll probably be a head coach before too long. Probably, it ought to be next year if they repeat what they did last year. But I don't know how much they're going to be passing the ball. I don't even know where Hodges exactly, I guess maybe he's the starter now. I didn't even mention Darius Slayton. So, all these guys are just guys, though. None of them are, great. So, I don't really know what to project him for. I know you took a flyer on him. Maybe he's the number 1. Maybe he's the number 5. I have no idea. The Giants are doing whatever. At best, he's the number 2 because Darren Waller's the number 1. That's very clear. I do know that. No, I guess it's fine. $2. There were other players on the board. What's this? 191? There's not a whole lot that late in the draft to spend on, I guess. I'd rather spend it on an upside back or something, but I guess for late in the draft, you don't have a lot of options, so I kind of get it. Still, I don't love him, but it's okay. Jaden Reed, Green Bay, 195. So, he's another, for as much fun of Green Bay, we make a lot of fun of Green Bay for not taking first-round receivers. They do seem to take a lot of second-round receivers. So, Michigan State guy, second round. I'm pretty sure he's going to be the slot guy because I'm pretty sure the two, I know one guy's Christian Watson's one of the starters. I'm pretty sure Romeo Doubs is the other one. So, I imagine Reed is in there. I don't know what to make of him because, again, this really depends on how much they trust Jordan Love. I'll say maybe 600 yards, maybe 3 touchdowns. Again, taking a flyer on a guy, maybe he pops. I like him as a talent. He's a good player. Kind of reminds me of Adam Humphries, if you remember him on the Bucs. But I don't know. Again, we're late in the draft, so I get it. We're kind of taking shots at guys. But I don't know what to make of the Green Bay offense. So I guess, don't give him too long a leash, but give him some because he's young. He's a rookie kid. 199, snipe me for Mostert. Love Raheem Mostert. I think he's probably the starter over Jeff Wilson. I mean, I never really know with Miami. I was hoping Jonathan Taylor would get traded there, but that clearly did not happen. Yeah, the duo basically worked essentially 50-50 when Mostert is healthy, he's the runner, and when Jeff Wilson is healthy, he's the pass catcher. And that's basically what they do. And they complement each other. It's kind of surprising that Mostert is already 31. People don't realize that he's an older running back. He's also only played over 11 games like twice in his career, which obviously isn't a lot. So he's kind of like a flex guy, which is really good this late. Devon Achane is there. Maybe they're going to trade for Jonathan Taylor. Don't really know. But, running backs have value, and he was like the top 25-ish, like right around top 25-ish running back last year, and that's pretty good. I mean, getting him for $2, he probably should have gone for 10. So good little handy piece of work you did there. Like him. Sam Laporta, $2.05, $1. I mean, he's taking the TJ Hawkinson role with the Lions. The Lions don't have a number 2 receiver behind Amon-Ra with Jameson Williams hurt, so I guess maybe it's him. He's got wheels. He's ran a 4.59 40-yard dash. He's a good player, solid player. Rookie tight ends are notorious for doing nothing, but I don't think, unfortunately for the Lions, most of the good receivers were gone. So they were already taking like Jordan Addison, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Zay Flowers, etc. So they took a tight end instead, especially because they traded Hawkinson away for not much last year to Minnesota, if I'm being honest. Why? I don't know why they take like these tight ends real high and then like 4 years later trade them. Like they did the same thing with Eric Ebron, and I'm just like, stop drafting tight ends so freaking high. You never use them. So hopefully they use him. I'm not gonna hold my breath. Yeah, I don't have a lot of hope for Laporta. I think he's a good player, but I just don't think he really matters in Detroit, even as the number 2. Because after 6 games, I think Jameson Williams got to come in. They got to use him because they used all that draft capital on him. Otherwise, there's going to be some real questions about what Detroit is doing, taking Jameson Williams and Sam Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs all in the first round. Well, I guess Laporta was in the second round. But taking all these skill position players in the first round and not using them. So, and we finished out the draft. $1, $2.15. Yeah. Took Jerome Ford. I mean, Lauren was auto-drafting at this point, so I guess it makes sense. But yeah, he took the Nick Chubb handcuff. But he's kind of funky in a sense as the handcuff, because yeah, Kareem Hunt's not there, but he was the kick returner last year. I don't know what Cleveland's doing. If I'm being honest, Cleveland really ought to get a better backup running back, because I don't think Ford's all that good. I mean, I saw him in the preseason. He's got a good size, speed profile, but nothing really jumps out at you. He's a kick returner. His vision's okay, but if Nick Chubb got hurt, I can't imagine him getting a workload. I just feel like, I don't know. I think Cleveland's going to get somebody. I can't imagine they go into the season with Jerome Ford as their backup. Like, that just seems really, like, negligent. But I guess there's a lot of teams doing stuff like this. Like Ty Chandler in, like, Minnesota, Rico Dowdle, and Deuce Vaughn in Dallas, Keyshawn Vaughn in Tampa. There's a lot of teams with bad backup running backs, and I don't know why. Like, okay, you don't want to pay a veteran running back. Sure, just give him the minimum. Like, come on. Leonard Fournette's got to be better than this. Like, Ford didn't look good at all. He's young. I guess you could train him on the fly, but are you going to use him as your punt returner, your kick returner? I don't know. I guess it's fine. He's the backup right now. I just can't imagine Cleveland. I mean, maybe Cleveland does, and I'm wrong, and he's the handcuff all year. But either way, he's got value because he's Chubb's handcuff. I'm just surprised that Cleveland's this dumb. So, all right, talked a lot about it. So we talked a lot about how this isn't an average Mac draft. So we talked about with Sarah's, she kind of did the hero running back. And I've said Brian's like the zero RB. You're kind of like, oh, I forgot someone. Yeah, I don't know why I did forget someone. Duh. I forgot someone in the middle of your draft picks. I was just like, this feels weird because I know Mitchell's not your starter. Who's the starting flex? So yeah, back at 144 for $4, you got Brian Robinson Jr. Love the pick. Had him last year. Fantastic player. I like Brian Robinson Jr. He's consistent. He never fumbles the ball. He's not a great pass catcher. Really good vision though. He's just super duper solid. And even though he's splitting time with Gibson, I would say Gibson is more dynamic. Robinson's just super duper solid. 6'2", 225, runs 4.5. He's big. He takes all the goal line work. And he's just like, he's a really good flex option. He ran for he was a few yards short of 800 last year. And then he had 60 yards receiving. And he had 3 touchdowns. I think he'll get more touchdowns. I think he only had 3. So I think he'll get more. I think he'll at least double that, get 6. And I think he'll get some more receptions too, because as much as I don't really know what to make of Sam Howell, he can't be worse than Carson Wentz was last year. Carson Wentz was dreadful. He was just dreadful last year. So just purely on regression, Sam Howell ought to be better. That's not saying a whole lot, but that is to say I think Brian Robinson Jr. is a great find. Getting him for $4, I mean, you paid for less than Elijah Mitchell, really helped your team out because what I was saying before with Sarah being hero RB and Brian being zero RB, you're kind of like the hybrid. You have, I guess you could say you have one like hero, but really the way I look at it is you have one superstar running back, you have one RB2, and then you have one flex RB3, and they can shuffle if someone gets better or someone gets worse kind of thing. I would have liked if you had gotten Antonio Gibson in case something happens to Robinson. I would have really liked if you'd gotten Jaylen Warren, but you got Elijah Mitchell, so that's not bad. And Mostert is a good breaking case of glass kind of guy. So I like your team. I think this is one of your better teams you've drafted. It's very different since you spent so much up front, but I'm okay with that with McCaffrey. As I've said before, stars win titles. Okay, yeah, defense does win championships. But this is fantasy, all right? Fantasy football, stars win titles. You need some stars. I think you got 2. I think Amon-Ra and McCaffrey are your stars. There's a possibility for more. Again, I don't love the floor thing that we do with let's get Keenan Allen. Oh, let's get Najee Harris. We're getting dudes based off volume and not off upside. I always lean towards upside more. But I get it. So, if I got Sarah borderline top 5, I got Robbie in the top 5, I got Justin in the top 5, I think you're borderline top 5. I think you're maybe 7, 6, 7. I think your team's, McCaffrey and Amon-Ra alone ought to get you places. I think, you can make trades with Mostert later on to do stuff. I would say for you, just like I've said for the others, what is your aspirations? You are championship aspirations. I think this team is good enough to compete for a title. I think if you don't get to at least the semifinals, I don't want to say your season was a failure, but I will say you did not meet expectations. Those are the expectations because this team is good. This team is genuinely good. There's upside everywhere. The only thing I'd worry about is if Tony isn't healthy, you probably ought to think about getting someone else to start because I don't think Tony's going to be healthy, if I'm being honest. So, but all that's to say, I like the team, Mac. I think you did a good job. I think I'll give you probably a B-. But I think it is above average. It's a good team. Geno, McCaffrey. I mean, if Geno is as good as he was last year, this team could be like superstar good. So I really like the team, even with Najee and Allen. I really like it. It's kind of like love hate, but it evens out. Yeah, I think you're figuring it out. I think again, title aspirations for sure. Just based off the upside, especially with the superstar talent. Like there's a super. They say about the NBA, it's a superstar driven league. Well, this is a superstar driven league, guys. And he got some, and I think they're really good. And good on you for trying something new and it working. Like this, I think your draft worked really well. So yeah, no, I like this team a lot. B minus, probably like the six fits. Even Sarah like 6, 7, but still really really good teams. You might be higher even. I gotta go through this more. So yeah, I like the teams a lot though. Borderline top five. So maybe I guess you're both in my top five, possibly like 4, 5, 5, 6, somewhere around there. But no, good job.